On this, the yeas are 47, the nays are 53. The motion to discharge is not approved.
What you just witnessed there was the result of Donald Trump ordering the United States Senate, the MAGA Republicans in the United States Senate, along with John Fetterman, Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, to vote against a war powers resolution which would block Donald Trump's unlawful war against Iran. So you saw right there, the Senate actually voted against this critical war powers resolution. And now it goes to the House of Representatives where a vote takes place today. I want to discuss how important this is still. But in the Senate, the vote was 47 to 53. You had Republican Rand Paul voting with the Democrats on the 47 side. John Fetterman voted with the Republicans on that 53, voting against the war powers resolution, with the MAGA Republicans in the Senate and Fetterman giving up their role in Congress to block Donald Trump's unlawful war. Absolutely pathetic. So now it goes to the House of Representatives, but this is very important. Even though the Senate voted against it, it is critical that we see where all the Democrats stand. We see where all the Republicans stand when it comes to this unlawful war, because this is a deeply, deeply unpopular war. How unpopular is it? Well, just think about this fact right here. The Iraq War started with an approval rating of 70%. The lowest it ever hit was 42%. Just think about that staggering fact. This war right now started with an approval of 41%. Just think about that. And you have all the MAGA Republicans who are out there saying, whatever, the war started. So since it started, it would be unpatriotic for us to stop it now. They're literally using that line, like Susan Collins, who got that order from Donald Trump. And by the way, she's running for re-election in that Senate seat in Maine. Remember that, Maine. Here's what she said. She was very concerned about all of this. She said, passing this resolution, the war powers resolution, to block Donald Trump's unlawful war, she says it would send the wrong message to Iran and to our troops. At this juncture, providing unequivocal support to our service members is critically important, as is ongoing consultation by the administration with Congress. Now, Graham Plattner, Democratic candidate for Senate in Maine, also a veteran, said the following: well, what else can we do but support the war? Are we really doing this already? This thing just effing started. This is the worst version of why we stayed in Iraq for so long, for the dumbest reasons, and being done by the same people who clearly have learned nothing. And as Donald Trump panics, this is what he's ordering MAGA Republicans to do: block the war powers resolution vote. The war powers resolution vote is critical. And frankly, we shouldn't even need a war powers resolution, because only Congress has the power to declare war, not the executive branch. The executive branch needs to seek the authorization of Congress. It's in our damn Constitution. But now, of course, the MAGA Republicans got their message from the Trump regime, and it's just out of Putin's playbook. Don't call it a war. Just call it a special military operation. That's all you have to do. And that's what the MAGA Republican sycophants are doing. Like MAGA Republican Congressmember Mike Flood, before the vote that's taking place today on the war powers resolution. Mike Flood says it's not a war. It's a significant military operation. Here, play this clip.
This war.
Well, I think the president has the authority.
Would you consider it a war?
It's a significant military operation.
What about what MAGA Mike Johnson is saying? Well, MAGA Mike Johnson got the order for Donald Trump to tell all of the MAGAs in Congress that you will get politically rewarded here by voting against the war powers resolution. The American people want this war, MAGA Mike says, because that's what Donald Trump's telling everybody. Here, play this clip.
I trust the American people. I trust that they will evaluate all these things and they will understand that this administration did the right thing. I think they'll reward it politically, but if people get a bad taste in their mouth for what happened back here in the first part of the year in Iran, they just do. But we know, and history will record, we did the right thing. I think passage of a war powers resolution right now would be a terrible dangerous idea for all the reasons I've just explained. It would empower our enemies, it would kneecap our own forces, and it would take the ability of the U.S. military and the commander-in-chief away from completing this critical mission to keep everybody safe.
Not only is MAGA Mike willing to vote against the War Powers Resolution and demand that MAGA Republicans in Congress be in lockstep with it, MAGA Mike is ready to start taking all of our taxpayer dollars immediately and giving it to supplemental assistance, for the war. Congress will pass a war funding supplemental when appropriate. At least, $50 billion is what we're hearing, to provide additional funding for this war. That money could have gone to healthcare. That money could have gone to affordable housing. That money could have gone to numerous other things that actually would help the American people. But now it's going to help us build more munitions for the war in Iran, which is an absolute disaster right now as more service members are being killed. That's what they're doing. I'll bring you to the House floor where there was debate about the War Powers Resolution. Let me show you what the Democrats are saying, because I echo a lot of their sentiments right here, not because they're Democrats saying it, but because I don't believe in regime change wars without plans. I don't believe in sending our soldiers out there to Iran like that without any defined mission. I don't like it. I despise it. It's unconstitutional. It's unlawful. Well, here's what Democratic Congress member Castro has to say. Play this clip.
Why now? Well, Secretary Rubio told us himself. He said that Israel was going to strike Iran, which would have triggered Iranian strikes on U.S. forces in the region. But rather than pick up the phone and tell Benjamin Netanyahu to stand down, the President of the United States buckled and decided to join their war. How is this America first? For 25 years, a generation of American service members and their families have sacrificed so much because of regime change wars in the Middle East. President Trump is now asking yet another generation of Americans to sacrifice in the hope that this time it will go differently than Iraq, Afghanistan, or Libya. This is Donald Trump's war. This is Benjamin Netanyahu's war. Your vote today will determine whether this is your war too. I urge you to support this resolution.
Powerful words indeed. What about Democratic Congressmember McGovern? Play this clip.
Mr. Speaker, nobody is defending the Ayatollah. There is no love lost for a brutal government that sponsors terror and murders their people. Iran has been doing this for decades. Everybody knows that. And so my question is this: why wasn't Donald Trump in favor of regime change until this weekend? Why did he campaign on swearing he would never send American kids to fight and die in the Middle East? Republicans can't answer because they were against war with Iran until exactly the second Donald Trump decided to go to war. And now they're all running around sounding like neocon lunatics. America can't take this level of gaslighting. I went to the classified briefing. There was no imminent threat. I guess unless Republicans want to redefine the word imminent to mean stretching back 47 years. This whole thing is just so transparently built on lies. Republicans went from imminent threat to regime change to nukes back to imminent threat in the last 24 hours. I'll tell you what this is, Mr. Speaker. This is Iraq 2.0. I still remember the lies about WMDs. I voted against that war too. At least George Bush had the decency to lie to people's face. And by the way, no congressional vote can legitimize this because there was no imminent threat. There was no UN Security Council resolution. So this war is illegal no matter what you want to call it. And it's not Donald Trump's kids that will have to go fight and die for their draft-dodging dad. It's not the children of the billionaire Epstein class. It's working-class kids who are going to put their lives on the line. Shame on Republicans. I'm sick of this BS. We're spending billions of dollars a day on a war, and we can't even get Republicans to join us to expand health care in America. How the hell is this America first? You guys broke your top campaign promise. Good luck with that. I hope the defense contractor money was worth it. Shame on you all. The mask is off. You're all just a bunch of
Your time's expired.
And I'll give credit where credit's due to Republicans. Thomas Massie clearly articulating why this war is unlawful, as well as all of the lies that this regime has been selling us. Play this clip.
And for what? This administration can't even give us a straight answer as to why we launched this preemptive war. The president says we had to strike first because an Iranian strike was imminent. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense conceded there was no evidence of an imminent Iranian strike. Some told us this war was about nuclear weapons, but 6 months ago, we were assured our last strike on Iran decimated their nuclear program. So which is it? I think the most candid answer came from the Secretary of State, who told the press that Israel forced our hand and dragged us into this war again. And that truth is the very reason why it is Congress that must decide war. If American lives are to be risked and American blood is to be shed, that decision must be debated and voted on by the representatives of the American people. And that debate is meant to be arduous. And that vote is meant to be hard. I have a theory. I think my colleagues don't want to go on record because we have a terrible track record of meddling in the Middle East. They don't want their name associated with this when it doesn't turn out well. But Congress cannot be bothered with its constitutional duty because for many in this chamber, it's easier to simply allow someone else's sons and daughters to be sent to combat without their vote. And to be clear, we aren't even here to declare war today. All we're voting on is a war powers resolution to reassert the Constitution, that Congress must decide questions of war. And if Congress wants war, then the Speaker should hold a vote to declare it.
This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious low-sugar brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ Bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean label certified and entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial ingredients. All IQ Bar products are packed with clean, delicious ingredients that keep you physically and mentally fit, like magnesium, lion's mane, and more. IQ Bar's plant protein bars are the smarter snack choice with plenty of plant protein, tons of fiber, and no added sugar. IQ Mix is a zero sugar drink mix that hydrates with electrolytes, improves mood, and boosts clarity. IQ Joe is a mushroom coffee designed for mental clarity and packed with 200 milligrams of natural caffeine. Plus, it comes in 4 different flavors that will totally transform your morning routine. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their Ultimate Sampler Pack includes all 3. IQ Bar has become part of my daily routine, whether it's starting my morning with IQ Joe, grabbing an IQ Bar or IQ Mix to refuel or rehydrate after a hard workout. I am truly a believer in all IQ Bar products. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text TRUTH to 64,000. Text TRUTH to 64,000. That's TRUTH to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
And you know, Democratic Congressmember Raskin is going to step in and make some great points here. Let's play this clip.
I thank the Speaker and the ranking member. Yes, use all lawful and constitutional means. I heard one of our colleagues across the aisle just say, well, yes, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 does give Congress the exclusive plenary comprehensive power to declare war, and not the president, and we could be debating it, but the president's already taken us to war, so it's too late. It would undermine the cause for us to debate it. What a humiliating, self-defeating argument for a member of the Article 1 branch of Congress to be making. Don't you understand? That destroys our power to declare war. If any president can plunge us into a war and thereby defeat our exclusive plenary power over it. The framers weren't fooling around when they did that. They knew that the kings were constantly plunging their people into wars of deception, conceit, plunder, imperial avarice, fantasy. Constantly the kings were doing that. They didn't want to leave it up to one person to decide whether or not to send a whole country into war and to put our sons and daughters at risk. That is an awesome, solemn responsibility that must be vested in the representatives of the people, all the people, which is why both the House and the Senate are involved in it. So whether you think this war is the most brilliant, strategic breakthrough and moral cause since World War II, or you think it's an absolute strategic blunder built on lies like the last wars in Iraq or the war in Afghanistan, which cost thousands of lives and more than $1 trillion, wherever you are on that policy question, can we not agree as members of the Article 1 branch that it's up to us? We've got to vote on it. We've got to debate on it. I'm hearing very interesting, good arguments all over the spectrum on this. That's why it's reposed in the representatives of the people to decide it. Not Donald Trump, not J.D. Vance, not Tulsi Gabbard or anybody else in the executive branch. It's our decision. Everybody should be voting yes on this resolution.
Now back to Republican Congressmember Massie. Let's play it.
The 1973 War Powers Resolution states plainly that the president may only introduce U.S. armed forces into hostilities pursuant to 3 conditions. Either 1, declaration of war, 2, specific statutory authorization, or 3, a national emergency created by an attack upon the United States. None of those conditions exist today. Iran has not attacked the United States, Congress has not declared war, and Congress has not granted specific statutory authorization. Beyond the constitutional question, here lies an even more important one. Why are we going to war with Iran? We owe our military service members a clear mission. And American families in my district want to know how this is going to help them pay for groceries. How does this make them any safer in their schools or in their neighborhoods? How does this help them pay for housing? Have we learned nothing from the laundry list of wars and regime change experiments we sparked across the Middle East that have racked up a total of at least $8 trillion of debt in Iraq, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan? A sustained war with Iran will not stabilize the region. It's already ignited the region. It will radicalize new generations of terrorists, and it will send more swarms of refugees into Europe and the United States.
More from Massie right here. Let's play it.
And it will send more swarms of refugees into Europe and the United States. Iran is not Venezuela. The Ayatollah was not a president. He was a religious leader from a region notorious for radical Islamists. And the United States and Israel turned him into a martyr. And in the process of doing so, we've already expended billions of dollars, and more solemnly, 6 American families must now lay to rest their sons and daughters. And for what? This administration can't even give us a straight answer as to why we launched this preemptive war.
And here's what Graham Plattner, again, a veteran, he says, here's what he has to say. And he's running for the Senate seat in Maine, as you know, against Susan Collins. And he's like, you know what? We need an entirely new war powers resolution, frankly, a new war powers act, rather, which automatically all of these wars should be declared unlawful before they even start. We shouldn't even have to pass any type of resolution. We should just be able to declare it unlawful unless you get Congress's approval. Play this clip.
We need a truly reformed War Powers Act where we really pull the power back. No more 48 hours of combat operations where you have to notify Congress. No more 60 days of combat operations before you have to prove to Congress that you should have gone to war in the first place. No.
Ain't a warranty.
We need to know why military force is used right off the bat, and it needs to be approved by Congress right off the bat. No grace period.
Now here's what Democratic Senator Adam Schiff had to say on TV. Let's play it.
Senator, you joined all but one of your Democratic colleagues today in voting for a war powers resolution that would have constrained the president's war on Iran that he's launched. All the Republicans, save for Rand Paul, voted against it. Rand Paul voting with the Democrats, John Fetterman voting with Republicans. Why did you vote that way today?
Well, I introduced the resolution along with Tim Kaine, Senator Schumer, and Rand Paul for the reason that we shouldn't be in this war, number one. This is a war that was not brought on by any imminent threat from Iran. And we've heard all kinds of varying explanations for why. Rubio says we were threatened. He says it's because Israel was going to attack and they would attack us, Iran, that is, if Israel attacked. And then the president says, no, that wasn't it at all. And then you hear Pete Hegseth say something different and Witkoff say, no, this was about them potentially getting the bomb. They can't explain why we're at war. So first and foremost, to stop this war of choice. But second, because constitutionally, this is unlawful. You can't commit the nation to war without seeking the approval of Congress. It's one of the most important powers that we have. It has atrophied. And if we're going to allow a war like this to go on where we've already lost U.S. service members and essentially not make a peep about it in Congress, then we're telling this president and any future president, you can make war whenever you want, wherever you want, for whatever reason you want, and Congress will not step in to put any constraint on you. That's just dangerous to the American people and to our troops.
And I agree also here with Democratic Senator Mark Kelly. I've said this on the show before. You've heard me say it, which is you can literally pick a random group of people in Washington, D.C. or anywhere, and they would do a much better job than the Trump regime. Like way better than because this Trump regime is compounding the worst decisions and making it worse based on Donald Trump's malicious and demented pathology. It's like he instantly gravitates to the worst possible decision making and then makes it catastrophic. And then this is why he's bankrupted everything in his life. Most of the companies he's run, he's bankrupted because this is what this demented individual does. Here, play this clip of Senator Kelly.
You could pick a random group of people off the street tonight here in Washington, D.C., just a random group, and they could probably do a better job than our government is doing right now with this. They don't have a goal. There's no strategic plan. There's no timeline. And what this is likely to lead to is, again, a long war with a lot of dead Americans and no rationale for how this is helping the American people.
And as Donald Trump's chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt, was saying today, why did Donald Trump order the military to strike when it did? Why did that happen? Well, he had a good feeling. Just his feels, yo. He had a good feeling, those feels. Couldn't tell the American people what the feeling was, backed up by facts, but he had a feeling. The feeling that Israel was going to attack Iran first, and Iran would then attack the United States. So we had to attack first for Israel. That's the move. Here, play this clip.
How important was that information in the president making the decision to strike where and when he did?
I think it was important with respect to the timeline, but I think the president, prior to that phone call, had a good feeling that the Iranian regime was going to strike United States assets and our personnel in the region.
And then you have other MAGA senators like Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, and he's out there saying, you know what? This is an opportunity for geopolitical change. Isn't that what you want, America? Oh, healthcare? No. What you want? Education? No. You want housing? No. You want things to be more affordable? No. You want geopolitical change. Well, I'll tell you what, Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, the geopolitical change going down right now is crippling America's strength, weakening America's power, if not obliterating it in the world. This does not make us look strong. This makes us look weak and pathetic. And right now, we've never actually looked weaker anyway. Here's what Johnson says. Let's play it.
Because of what is happening now in Iran is more serious. So we're more vulnerable because Biden left the border open and they still hold up DHS funding. And on the issue of Iran, Senator, the Senate failed to pass Senator Kane's War Powers resolution. You voted against it. Senator Paul was the only Republican who voted for it. Explain your decision on this, because there are many in MAGA land, I think still, who are either not supportive of this war, are worried about what this will do to the Trump agenda, or flat out think we had no right to go in there.
Iran has been at war with America for 47 years. It's responsible. It has blood on the hands of thousands of American soldiers, American citizens. They've been a menace. This is an opportunity. It's not risk-free. It's not guaranteed, but this is an opportunity to change geopolitics for the better, the best opportunity in my lifetime. So I hope for success. I support the president in a tough decision. Again, there's nothing guaranteed about this. The IRGC has 200,000 members. They've got the security forces 600,000. It's encouraging the Kurds are coming down and hopefully providing some support for the Iranian people. But this is a real opportunity, and I've just got to support the president from this, in this tough decision.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers, and thank you all for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.